Hey everyone, welcome back to the Daily Gold Podcast. Today I'm speaking with Jason Burack. He's founder of Wall Street for Main Street. And Jason, let's get right to it on gold and silver. I don't know if you agree, but I feel like we kind of I shouldn't say kind of, we made a major bottom there at the end of 2011, and it looks like in the last couple of days, we've really seen precious metals pick up and move very nicely off those bottoms. Do you agree that we hit a major bottom, and what is your outlook for 2012?
Yeah, I agree. We've put in a bottom here, Jordan. I think the end of the year there was the risk on, risk off thing of last year, and by the end of the year it was risk off, and there was a disinflation period. The market didn't get the additional stimulus and quantitative easing it wanted. But after the Fed announcement that just came out yesterday about the interest rates, staying low through the end of 2014, I think for sure gold and definitely silver too, because silver is going to tag along. I think they've definitely put in bottoms here. As far as predictions for gold and silver for 2012, I would say gold has a good chance of maybe touching as high as $2,500 an ounce, but if it gets to $2,500 an ounce in 2012, the correct people should be taking some gains on some of their profitable positions. They should be selling some into strength on some of their gold stocks, and they should be prepared for a violent correction. I expect high volatility in 2012, definitely intraday. The long-term fundamental trend, I think you'll agree with this, is still intact. As far as silver goes, silver has some key overhead resistance levels still to overcome. But I think the larger pools of capital that were sitting on the sidelines waiting for gold and silver to get through key resistance levels, I think those are going to start coming back into gold and silver now with heavy buying. And I think we could see silver blow through $50 an ounce in 2012. And if it does, it could possibly touch up to $66, $67 an ounce. But then again, if it gets there, I would be taking gains again, and I would be selling into strength, and I would be developing a cash position for a violent correction, perhaps back down to $40 to $45 a share again before it starts building a base. I think we could see that type of violent volatility.
Okay, let's move on and talk about the equities, because last year, obviously a very difficult year for the entire sector in general. Although the large caps did hold up much better, I should say the large cap and the producing companies, they held up much better than the exploration and the development juniors. Everything is starting to recover now. So what's your outlook this year for 2012? Maybe, we don't have to talk about individual names yet, but let's just drill down here and talk about, the large producers versus the junior producers and maybe the explorers and the development companies. Which of those are you most keen on here at the start of 2012?
Well, it really depends on an individual person's risk tolerance. For me personally, the majority of my capital is in producers. So I like the junior producers or the mid-tier producers. I don't like a lot of the large producers, but a lot of the producers in general are starting to really generate free cash flow right now. The oil prices are only, for the most part, the oil is not rising as fast as gold and silver is rising, so profit margins are in good shape, and they're actually expanding, and they're generating free cash flow. And for a lot of these gold and silver companies, they've never generated the free cash flow that they've been able to generate in the last couple quarters. And I see nothing that's going to destroy that long-term fundamental trend, aside from maybe a short-term spike in oil prices. But I think people can hedge their risk to that with buying a couple, oil stocks. So I think the gold and silver companies, the producers, Jordan, they are definitely on the prowl. I think this is going to be a fun time if you're holding some good juniors. You're going to get some really good buyouts here in the next 24 months. I know for a fact in the silver space that First Majestic Silver, Endeavor Silver, and Great Panther Silver are all on the prowl for acquisitions. A lot of them have a good amount of cash on the balance sheet. They are looking to make some M&A activity, but the juniors right now are not willing to sell out without a premium. So you just saw Pan American Silver go and buy Mine Finders. I think that a lot of that trend is going to increase in the next 24 months. So I think the sector in general is going to consolidate. And I think people are going to do very well as long as they're, diversified across the board there.
Okay, let's How about you give us some companies here? Maybe one or two stocks that you really like, and maybe you can also mention a takeout target or two that our listeners can watch for.
Okay, sure. In terms of actual mining companies, this is not counting the streaming and the royalty companies, which I just love the business models on. But in terms of actually mining gold and silver, a company I really like a lot is Orico Gold and Silver, Orico Gold, and they're what we call a hybrid company, and they produce mostly just gold and silver. So Orico has a good amount of production now, but they bought Northgate out in the last like 8 months or so, and they only paid $150 an ounce in the ground for Northgate's gold reserves. So it was a really good accretive acquisition because Northgate was already producing some, and Orico has a really good organic growth profile through 2014. They're going to be just under 1 million ounces of gold production, I think, in 2014 or so. And they have a humongous amount of silver production as well. So Orico would be a very good hybrid company that people should look at. As far as other gold companies, people should definitely look at Goro Gold Resource Corporation. They pay a monthly dividend right now, and they're already producing through a JV deal. And there's good rumors out that Goro is looking into the logistics of paying a physical gold and silver bullion dividend. I'm not sure when exactly they would implement that, but that would be something for your people out there who also like to accumulate physical gold and silver. So if you bought shares of Goro, Goro might be sending, a gold gram to your gold money account or something like that. They're definitely looking into it.
Wow, yeah, that definitely is very interesting. Goro is actually a stock I used to own a couple years ago. Okay, how about we just before we close here, maybe you can mention one or two other companies and just a sentence or two on the detail with those companies.
Okay, well, you wanted me to talk about potential buyout candidates. I think the New Golds, which have already made some acquisitions, but I think like Agnico Eagle and some of these other mid-tier, and Yamana Gold and some of these other mid-tier gold producers are going to look for accretive gold production first. So Jaguar Mining, which is JAG, and Brigus Gold, which is BRD. These companies are producing, but they have production problems. So management has quality assets, but the management teams of both companies have not been able to hit anywhere close to the production numbers. I think in the next 18 months for sure, both companies are taken out. As far as the premium goes for either, it's tough to say what the premiums would be, but both companies have very quality assets, and I don't think you will see either company in existence 18 months from now.
Okay, maybe are there any? And I know you mentioned Aqua Rico. Any smaller juniors that you want to mention? Maybe just one. Any maybe a junior gold producer or a silver producer or something like that. And anything on your radar that's a little bit smaller in market cap?
Yes, Atna Resources is a very good gold junior. They're producing a little bit now, but they have a very good organic growth profile, and they actually stole, a very quality asset from Barrick because it wasn't going to move the needle from Barrick, and they were able to pick up the assets for, a very good price. As far as silver juniors go, I really like Impact Silver a lot. I think Impact's producing about 1.4 million ounces of silver right now. And I think they're going to announce a new growth plan because they just started exploring this other mining district. They're putting in a 200 tons per day pilot plant there. And in the next, 8 to 12 months, they're going to have a plan to be a multi-million ounce silver producer. So I think people are going to do very, very well with Impact Silver too. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Impact is also taken out in the next 18 months as well.
Alrighty, well on that note, Jason, why don't you tell our listeners where they can find your work, your website address?
They can go to wallstreetformainstreet.com, which is WALLSTFORMAINST.com.
Hey Jason, thanks so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jordan.